We have made a ton of progress. When I say we, mainly Brandon. Marlo left, so he's been doing the lion's share of stuff, getting his hands on everything. The supercharger is in, mounted. We figured out most things. We got the pulleys sorted. Had to get this bracket because we are not running power steering or alternator, but we had to come up with a new configuration. As well as, we've been kind of running into these things because we have a completely custom build. We're on a schedule. We're running a stock pump. We've converted it to dash 20 here. We're converting it to dash 20 on this side, as well as what I have to do right now is tap for an MPT line to connect from here, the steam ports, to get the whole system back in place because we're a reverse rear mount radiator. That means we don't have it. There's been quite a few little things that have been going on, but look at this down here. We've got the alternator relocated. Looks great. Our bracket from Bryant looks amazing. Seems to be working. Finally tracked down belts. We're working on hoses here. The final radiator here. Finally see this on, bolted down, and it's not coming off with the fuel rails on. It's super exciting. Now some of you guys may ask, hey Nate, isn't all power made the same? And technically, the power is all rated the same, but there's multiple different ways of doing it. We have the NA power, is the manifold that was on this car before. So it's just taking a breath, and whatever it could fit of air and fuel is what the engine gets to burn and push the piston down and turn the crank. There's different styles of those, as you saw, where we have the high rise manifold and then the stock low rise. Those will do different things at different ends of the acceleration arc. As the RPMs go up, it'll do like things differently on the dyno as far as attributes that it uses. Now you go, okay, well, isn't all superchargers the same? And they technically do similar things. It's now the process of it. You have the centrifugal compressor that looks like a turbo, like a Pro Charger. Those are awesome because they go on new kits right away, because you just got to make a couple brackets and make sure there's room, and they work. You get some other downsides from that. One of them is just a lot of heat. You get back pressure in the compressor, so you never really actually get to reach the PSI you would want, and then you're contending against belt slip. And then we have the root style, which is what Magnuson does. So rather than taking a bunch of air in the compressor and shoving it into a small space, which would be like if you took a hammer and you hit a piece of metal, as that warmed up, the same thing's happening as you jam a bunch of air molecules together. So that creates heat in the compressor. Whereas with the root style, which is there's symmetrical screws that encapsulate some air as they spin, what ends up happening, it's kind of like an encrypted end-to-end system. The whole time it's working through the compressor screws, it just grabs the air and moves it fast. The compression happens on the other side, which we do have some heat being created, but it's far less. It won't end up building up, as well as it doesn't slow down the screws nearly as much, causing drag on the horsepower you're making. That's why we do this one, and it's really this. As soon as the engine's ready to take a breath, we have a bunch of encrypted, perfectly matched, and perfectly fuel ratioed information that just wants to be pushed in through the valve as soon as it opens up. And so it puts more caloric value into the piston, into the combustion area, which gives us more energy out. And it does it in a very reliable way with robust systems, as well as a lot of longevity. So that is why we do this. Now I'm going to pull this off. We're going to tap this for 1/8 inch MPT, which needs to come on the valve or the head outside of the water. So we want this to go into the radiator. We don't want it to be going back into the block. That way, if there's any air trapped in there, anything like that, bring it through the radiators, swirl tanks and expansion tanks and all those things. Getting the air out of the system, only water coming back in that is cooler. We haven't done anything here yet. Mounting some gauges here and electrical work. So we're gonna get to it. I gotta mount one other thing. We have to mount the oil cooler right here, the fans in the back. We have a list. Anyways, we'll get to it. So when I say we gotta tap a hole in here, what I mean is we have to create, just like in this here, where there's a hole, and down inside that hole there's threads that accept these threads. So we have to match the pitch and the coarseness as well as the diameter in order so that you can screw in a bolt and it's stuck in. And in order to do that, you need a tap and die set. So this is the tap and this is the die. So this would be putting threads onto the outside of the bolt, like this here, these big threads, or these big threads. And then this right here, the one we were gonna be using, 1/8 inch MPT, cuts the threads into the hole. So we will use corresponding drill bit, which is the right diameter, allows this to just be able to take off the right amount of metal for this. And then if you'll notice on here, here. This is conical. So MPT isn't a straight hole. They're pitched in so it gets tighter on itself and seals itself off as it goes in deeper. That is what it is, and the more you know. So we're gonna tap some holes.
Giggity, giggity, goo.
So now we have the appropriate size hole drilled all the way through. Now we'll grab the tap. We're so freaking close. We got the new throttle cable bracket made up. I'm doing the mount right now for the catch can here. That'll put it right here. So the valve covers will vent to the catch can this way. That's the last fab up here. Then Brandon can finish putting the belts on. I can make all the hoses. I have made great success.
Great success.
I made great success over here. We have our bracket bent up. This is the temporary little flimsy bracket. We think it could hold, but I want to go a little bit more stout and then have everything planned out in here. We'll get those riv nutted in. Then we will just copy them out of the thicker stuff. And then I have to make a bracket that goes here that will allow the hose to pass through, hold the radiator up to this, and then block the bottom of the air right there. Oh, is that Brandon with my Chipotle order? That was my burrito. Needed to know we're going double steak. They don't do Al Pastor anymore. Bummer. Chipotle. It was really good. I really, really like it. So this is sorted. We got our fittings, so I can do the lines back here, mount the reservoir, which I'll do next or last, because I don't care that much as I care about getting this thing started tonight. I think we can do it. It's really up to me now. So we're getting really freaking close here. I'm trying not to have to remake a ton of these really expensive XRP lines. And as I was just laying the lines back in here, it just happened to land right on the back of that. So I'm thinking I can cut this down to a place where that we weld it all the way around, and then I can get this hose to it. I'll probably have to remake this one to a 90. It's not fun, but I'll do it. And this one we are remaking, and it'll come from here around into the water pump. So we're running an actual stock water pump and an electric water pump in the back. We've always had the electric in this car, but for the supercharger to have this pulley right here, we have to come up with something on the bypass, which is somewhere, whatever it used to look like it was right here. If we don't want to do this system, it should work. We'll have more flow. We're gonna definitely have a bunch more work trying to redo this, but we're almost there, I should say. So before we did this, and now once the paint dries over there, we'll have the oil filter relocation actually where it goes again. Did it really go that far over here? Oh my goodness, stay away, race the trenches. We'll have that, and then I can really actually finalize what I'm gonna do there.
What are we doing, Nate?
So we had to make this thing, but this is cast, there's stuff in it, and I think my rods had stuff in it, so I kept getting impurities. So we're testing, we're making a test plate and seal this off, put 200 PSI into this, so squirt it with soap and hope. So we're tapping this out for MPT. We will put entire nozzle. Really have time for this, but we wanted to show you. So this is what we made. All Brandon's idea. He made that part right there. That little part.
Yeah.
This big guy.
What's this do?
This is a chode, but here's off to the right.
Bigger than you're used to?
That's what she said.
They say every time you make anything, it's kind of a self-portrait. I've only got the girth when it's not direct down, but the curve.
We'll just turn it.
It doesn't do that. Don't get the wrong idea. I guess don't tell your mom. All right, soap me up. Put squirt soap on me. You think the weld's good?
I think the weld's good.
Holy moly, dude. It's like as if it was custom made. I don't know how we're going to tighten it all the way, but...
That's the easiest fitting we have on this
on the car. Custom made it. It only took me 6 hours.
How's it feel?
Well, I don't know if it leaks. So right now, it smells good. Because look, it doesn't touch that. Like now we can just like do some other kind of bracket, some other place.
Beautiful.
But
Good.
we can start it, dyno it, do whatever. Worry about that after we get podium in freaking Shanghai. We are tired trying to get our first start. So it actually said low oil pressure on the screen like a window popped up. Well, that happened way faster than we thought. We got great oil pressure, good oil pressure. We've got fuel pressure, it's not really high. Okay, dude, it's been a bit of progress. Quite a bit of progress. Brandon is putting the header back on. We got it all in, running. You saw the startup clip. Then we noticed some things, which was that pulley is set in further than the rest of all these accessory pulleys. So the belt that's 8 rib rides off of the pulley here. The fix can't happen before we'll miss our final dyno appointment that we actually missed yesterday due to this and vehicle issues as far as this thing. So we're now here doing this, and then after we got it started, we heard a sound in the transmission that we're not used to. This might actually be a quieter car too, because this motor isn't as wild as the last one until this thing goes to work. But we took the transmission out, checked the clutch, readjusted everything, made sure all the shims were correct, readjusted floater, bell housing back on, getting ready to throw the exhaust back on. Then bleed power steering, which we can have to do that while it's well, we don't have to do it while it's running, but we could be warming up. We need to figure out how much fuel is in there. Then we get to actually go to advanced engine dynamics. Or we got to pick up fuel from Sideways Sean at Spectre Wraps headquarters. I also just found this ground right here.
Oh, I took that off.
Oh, okay. This one. And he's the
no
guilty
housing
guy.
bolt there?
Listen to his excuses.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we need that here. Weakest link, guys. Weakest link.
Is it?
Huh?
Is it facing towards you right now?
What's that? Yeah. Okay. See, that's how you know. That's how you know it's me, the weakest link here. Because he already knew what I was doing, even though it was just supposed to be between us. Made it to advanced engine dynamics. The car is actually on the dyno. Brandon went and picked up our fuel from Spectre Bill, Sideways Sean. Now we're getting the old C16 out of the tank because we're running E85 and we need to get it out of there. So we're gonna disconnect the fuel lines and just run that fuel out into a bucket. Damn. We'll throw some ethanol and then do it again. Put the system back together and see what happens. I didn't know if it would run or how I'd be able to get it on the trailer. We got it all out prior to him being able to do his beep boop beep boop boop.
Beep 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 boop bop.
Found out we had number 6 not firing. That was why we were in the 530 range horsepower, which we should be 600 wheels guaranteed. He said guaranteed. No. In fact, if you want power guarantees,
That's the wrong phone number. We're not in Orange anymore.
come to this place, look for this guy, and because he never lifts. Guaranteed anyway. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean guaranteed. What I meant is, by math, given the PSI and the this and the that, we should have been around a 220 gain with the loss from the supercharger draw, which would have got us to 600. He guaranteed us 610 though.
No.
Okay, he just said none of those things except for the 600 part. That's where we should be. And he said if we're not, it's that guy's fault right there. Oh, hi, Mark. We swapped out the coil pack. Still no spark on number 6. Leaves wiring harness, which... Oh, hi, Mark. You know, you know.
True. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
Brandon is going to do his thing, back it down. Hopefully it's something we can fix. That would be our missing 80 horsepower. That would be really, really cool to have that, or have ever. And we'd be happy. That's where we wanted to be, needed to be competitive. All the math checks out if we can get to that number, which is why and how we found this. Maybe these guys will let me buy them lunch now for this. They said they'd go to sleep if I do. So. Yeah, you have them. Oh.
I'm so ashamed.
Oh, this is a shame for you. They finally found the last thing here that you left. Oh man, that's perfect. So what we found out is the coil packs, 2 ground signal wires, are not grounded. So we are going to use these. He has the same reaction, but I suggest them all the time. Like, dude, can we test theory, confirm, and then you can go and get all nerded out about your wiring? We just did the same thing. That's what happens. I guess wiring nerds are wired different. Oh, or the same. But what we're gonna do here is these 2 black wires here, we've got power and then signal. That's the yellow wire. So red is power, yellow is signal, and then these are ground. So these are not grounded in this loom. So somewhere between here and wherever he has mated all of them together to get to wherever that ground loop is, we'll find that and fix it. But for now, we're gonna peel this back, take those parasitic clamps, come into here, and then give ourselves a ground and see if that fixes the problem. Let these gentlemen do their thing. Then we have our homework. We'll know if that's where the missing power-wise, and whether or not we can trust this gentleman's guarantee. We get all the horsepower and our guarantee. The moment of truth. Look at this sweet Miata. It's got the old coolant reach around. They got the nice one. I made mine. I make most of everything. I grew up poor and I wanted to spend my money on tires and fuel, so I made all the things on mine. That sweet manifold, nice little Garrett. Oh, look at that PTI down there. Sweet blow off. I just freaking noticed. Polished aluminum hoods. So all the hoods are aluminum. So are the trunk lids. But this gentleman has class. He polished it. All right, dudes, we got the tune. Everything's looked good. But what we noticed was we're having the same fuel pressure issue that we had in Jersey, where we swapped the lift pump. Thought we fixed it. We were hoping our tuner would get back to us with the information to confirm that. We never heard from him. He's a busy guy, nothing to do with it, but we didn't get the information we needed. So we were here, and Toby, my guy here, he's the guy I have tune all my stuff out in California. Our brains just click. He is a conservative person as far as making sure we get the job done, but we don't do anything that's gonna risk never being able to do the job in the future. So I like that. Point being, he saw it, did all his due diligence, and caught it. We did our due diligence and now tested the pumps. Suspected 2 bad pumps, and what's happening is we have all the fuel pressure we need. When it gets up into the high RPMs, we're building all the power, consuming a lot of fuel, and it's consuming so much that it's pulling the fuel out of the fuel line, and the pressure is dropping down because the pumps can't keep it up. And in our system, which we'll show you tomorrow, we actually have a removable pump system. It has 4 pumps on it. 1 lift pump, and then 3 pumps sit in a bucket. That bucket gets filled by this lift pump, and then there's 3 pumps with only 2 operating. So that way, if one fails, we have a quick disconnect. We can switch the leads over and get that pump and going. We don't have to take things out and deal with it. Then after we get through that round or whatever it is that we're doing, take it out, replace all 3 pumps, because if one's going, probably the other ones will follow here suit, and we don't want it to cost us round, a battle, or anything like that. Overall, huge, great success. We'll come back tomorrow, pick it up right here where we left. We are back. Brandon actually already got the pump in. I wanted to show you guys. There's 3 pumps here. Here are the terminals to be able to power it. So that way we run 2 always. And then if we have one drop out, we're able to just switch the terminals and not have to take this out to change the pump. We replaced them last night, put these in. Now he's putting in a safety extra power that if we wanted to do all 3 just for a test, we could power all 3 without overloading these wires. So now we're back in. We'll see if we have the correct fuel pressure, and if we do, then Toby can go back in and stay on the fuel table because he was making things do things to compensate for the lack of pressure. Now that the pressure will not be lacking, it'll be an excess of fuel. So clean that up, and hopefully we're all good. So we got guys doing things onto the truck. We just got our pulley for main crank. I think we may have the rack out. Racks out, we got all the lines out. So now we're gonna take the crank bolt out, pull this pulley off. We got a new pulley in there, but prior to that, we have to pin with their new pin setup, which is very interesting. I hope it works. They sell them, they keep doing it, so it must work. Just seems to me that there could be better ways of doing things. So let me kind of explain why. Most pin kits, let's pretend this is the end of the crankshaft because that's exactly what it looks like. The pins would be bigger than this, and they would be, a hole would be drilled at the edge here, and there would be a half moon on this side and a half moon in the pulley, and then that would make it physically like impossible for those to turn separately. What this one does is, here's the end of the crank. We have 3 pulleys and a woodruff key. The woodruff key locks this into the pulley, and then these 3 pins tie in to the face of the crank. So although it's in addition to the compression that happens when you torque down the bolt, it's an extra safety measure. It just, to me, seems whatever. They could just design the pulley a little bit different to have a more open face to do the other one, but they do not for whatever reason. They must know, but I don't. words. So an example of what I was talking about, we got the bolt out, and as you can see, there's a pin, half moon. That was one from when this was used before on another motor. Magnuson has us use 2 on each side, makes it even extra better. Apparently, the pulley that we're gonna be installing, the face of it's about right here. They gave us a piece to stack inside of here, and then we drill it to the face of this, and the bolt goes through it. All right, yeah. All right, dude, so we got it. It's on, everything's pinned, torqued, everything lines up, all good. So belt issue should be gone. Now, reinstall the rack, then the coolers, just the clutch, put old girl in the trailer, and that old girl, and that old girl.